Let's begin with a truth no one dares to say aloud. Being good has made you weak. Not because goodness itself is weakness, but because you never learned how to defend it. You were raised on the myth that kindness is rewarded, that humility is a virtue that shines through in the end. You believed that by being patient, honest, generous, the world would one day repay you. But the world isn't fair, and life isn't waiting to thank you for your decency. It's waiting to take advantage of it. And the longer you deny this, the longer you'll suffer in silence, mistaking exploitation for misfortune. The world doesn't care how pure your heart is. It cares how well you protect it. You've tried to be the good one. You've bit your tongue when you should have spoken. You've stayed loyal when you should have walked away. You've turned the other cheek so many times. Your self-respect has become a joke. And every time you told yourself, this is the right thing. This is what a good man does. But deep down you're exhausted. Because goodness without strength is prey. And predators don't apologize. They don't feel guilty for taking what you offer. They feel entitled to it. Because you never gave them a reason to hesitate. Niccolomachiavelli saw this over 500 years ago. He didn't write for the saints. He wrote for survivors. For those who wanted to keep their soul. Without losing their spine. He understood something you've spent your life ignoring. That human nature is not noble by default. It's calculating, opportunistic, self-serving. And if you want to thrive in a world built by wolves, you cannot walk in as a lamb and expect mercy. You must know when to be kind, and when to let silence speak louder than 1,000 pleasantries. This isn't a call to become cruel. It's a call to stop being predictable. To stop broadcasting your goodness like a badge. Because here's the truth. When people know you'll always say yes, when they see that your kindness has no edge, they stop respecting you. You become a tool, a resource, an emotional vending machine they press without gratitude. And when they're done, they vanish. Not because you weren't good enough, but because you were too easy to use. Ask yourself, do the people you admire lead with innocence? Or do they lead with presence? When they walk into a room, do people feel comfortable? Or do they feel careful? Machiavelli understood this distinction. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. And fear isn't about violence. It's about being unreadable, untouchable. It's about commanding respect through mystery and restraint. You were taught to be liked, to be polite, to make yourself small so others would feel big. And somewhere along the line, you believed that. Love and approval were the same as power. But they're not. Being liked is cheap. Being respected? That takes strategy. It takes boundaries. It takes walking away when being liked requires you to lose yourself. You've been giving too much. Talking too much. Explaining yourself to people who never earned the right to hear you. And in doing so, you've given away your leverage. Because every time you speak without purpose, you give the world a map of your mind. Every reaction, every opinion, every soft smile becomes ammunition in the hands of those who know how to use it. That's why Machiavelli said, a prince must conceal his intentions, not to deceive, but to protect the sanctity of his vision. If they can predict you, they can control you. And if they can control you, they can use you. And the worst part? You'll think it's your fault. Because you've been conditioned to believe that silence is rude. That withholding is dishonest. But silence is not a weakness. It is a shield. A weapon. A form of power that demands others lean in, guessing, wondering, calculating, never quite sure where they stand with you. You've made yourself easy to understand. And what's easy to understand is easy to dismiss. The predictable are not respected. They are tolerated until they are no longer needed. But unpredictability? That is control. When they don't know if you'll stay or go, if you'll speak or vanish, if you'll forgive or turn cold, they pause. And in that pause lies your leverage. The world doesn't reward virtue. It rewards leverage. Power isn't about intention. It's about control. It's about knowing when to act. And more importantly, when not to. The emotional man is always at the mercy of those who trigger him. But the man with emotional control? He dictates the pace of every room he walks into. He owns his reactions like a master owns his craft. Machiavelli didn't say emotion is evil. He said reaction is dangerous. Because reaction reveals where you're weak. Think about the last time someone insulted you. Did you smile? Or did you explode? Did you breathe? Or did you justify your pain? The man who cannot control himself will always be controlled by someone else. Your transparency is not honesty. It's a lack of defense. Your availability is not loyalty. It's a lack of discernment. And your niceness? It's not strategy. It's a survival pattern from childhood, built to avoid rejection. But you're not a child anymore. And the cost of staying likable is that you become forgettable. Power respects stillness. It respects boundaries. It respects a man who can vanish, who can say no, who can walk away from comfort without flinching. And that kind of man? He isn't addicted to being liked. He's addicted to being effective, to being intentional, to making every word, every move, every presence. So ask yourself, what has your goodness earned you? What has your openness, your loyalty, your predictability brought back in return? Do people protect you? Or do they just expect you to show up? Do they honor your time? Or assume you'll always give it freely? This is where most men lose the game. Not because they're unkind, but because they never learned how to shield their kindness with strength. They never learned that presence must be curated, that attention must be earned. That mystery is not manipulation. It's insulation, a force field against exploitation. You want to be powerful? Learn the art of strategic absence. Stop showing up everywhere. Stop speaking up just to be seen. Stop offering your soul to people who haven't even proven they value your presence. Because power isn't just what you do. It's what you withhold. It's the space you take up without needing to be loud. Machiavelli knew. The most dangerous man is the one who moves with timing, not speed. He doesn't chase. He waits. He watches. He studies the board until the moment is right. And then he strikes. With clarity, with calm, with precision. That is the difference between motion and power. The world is addicted to speed. But impact belongs to the man who knows how to pause. Who knows that his silence carries weight. Who knows that every moment of restraint builds gravity. And gravity makes people pay attention. Think of how many fools you've watched get ahead. Just because they looked the part. Because they spoke with fake confidence. Because they understood one basic truth. It's not about who you are. It's about who they think you are. And if you don't control that narrative, someone else will. And they will almost always undervalue you. So what do? You don't fake it, but you do present it. You learn how to signal presence, not desperation. You walk in with shoulders back, voice low, eyes clear, and you let the room wonder, who is this man? Not what does he need? That's not arrogance. That's sovereignty. That's the difference between a man who moves to be seen and a man who moves because he already sees everything. So stop apologizing for your strength. Stop diluting your edges just to fit into rooms that don't deserve your fullness. Stop mistaking kindness for strategy. And start becoming a man who can be kind and still be feared. Not because you're cruel, but because you're untouchable. Now you understand. Being good never made you weak. Being unguarded did. You weren't wrong to believe in loyalty, in honesty, in compassion. But you were wrong to believe that the world would honor those things on their own. Because the world doesn't reward character. It rewards control. So from now on, let your goodness be sharp. Let your kindness have teeth. Let your presence speak louder than your promises. And let every room feel your silence before it ever hears your voice. You've spent your life being open, being honest, thinking that transparency would earn you trust. But Machiavelli warned, when you reveal too much, you make it easier for others to dismantle you. Power isn't found in confession. It's found in control. In understanding what parts of yourself to show and what to guard like a fortress. Every time you over-explain, you give someone else the script to manipulate you. You teach them how to push your buttons, how to shape their words to match your values, how to mirror your morality just enough to disarm you. That's not connection. That's entrapment. Because while you're pouring your soul onto the table, They're calculating the cost of using it. You want to be respected? Stop being easy to read. Learn to keep your thoughts close, your moves quieter, your intentions buried beneath layers of ambiguity. The man who cannot be predicted cannot be controlled. And the man who cannot be controlled cannot be used. Machiavelli didn't preach deception. He preached discretion. Not because he was cynical, but because he was realistic. In a world where men compete for power, the man who shows all his cards will never win. Appear kind, but never let kindness become your currency. Appear open, but never make your soul a public property. You weren't born to be a martyr. You were born to master your environment. But that mastery requires one thing above all, self-respect. And self-respect is not given. It is enforced. With words, with boundaries, with silence that echoes louder than begging ever could. Let's be clear. You don't need to be feared in the way tyrants are. But you do need to be respected in the way a storm is. No one knows exactly when you'll strike, but they feel the pressure shift when you enter the room. That's the Machiavellian man. Not a brute, not a bully, but a presence. If people can anticipate your every move, they stop responding to you with admiration and start reacting to you with expectation. You become routine. And routine is the enemy of power. The world is drawn to what it doesn't fully understand. Mystery creates desire, and distance creates demand. The problem is you've been taught to always be there. To always respond. To always care. And in doing so, you've turned yourself into background noise, constant, available, unmissed. But power doesn't shout. Power whispers. And those who wish to hear it must come closer, lean in, earn it. Stop being the man who always texts first. The man who always apologizes. The man who always gives without pause. Because the man who never pauses is the man no one listens to. Give space. Create absence. Let others feel the void you leave. Only then will they realize the weight of your presence. Strategic distance is not cruelty. It's calibration. When used with wisdom, it elevates your value without a word. You don't rise by convincing others of your worth. You rise by making them question why they ever underestimated you in the first place. Look around you. Every man trapped in mediocrity is there not because he lacked talent, but because he feared disapproval. He silenced himself to stay accepted. He bent so far for others that he forgot how to stand. But greatness was never found in consensus. It was forged in defiance. You don't need permission to become powerful. You need clarity. And clarity comes when you stop playing by rules written by the people who benefit from your obedience. Machiavelli understood that society conditions good men to serve, while cunning men learn to rule. You were told that humility was the key. But no one told you that false humility is a leash. That people will praise your politeness while walking all over your silence. You thought they would reward your patience. Instead, they used it as proof that you'd never walk away. Enough. You are no longer here to beg for scraps. You are here to build your empire, brick by brick, choice by choice, with a mind sharpened by awareness and a presence backed by principle. The game is being played whether you know it or not. You might as well start playing it on your own terms. This doesn't mean abandoning your values. It means protecting them. It means becoming the kind of man who leads with discipline, not desperation. A man who chooses when to speak, when to act, and when to watch while others reveal their intentions. Silence is a tool. Mystery is a shield. And timing is your sword. The world doesn't belong to the loud. It belongs to the deliberate. So choose deliberation. Train yourself to sit in stillness while others chase attention. Let them burn their energy trying to impress. You conserve yours, and when the moment is right, you strike. Because in the end, it's not your goodness that will change the world. It's your strength, your clarity, your ability to pair principle with precision. That is what Machiavelli tried to teach you, not to become a villain, but to stop being a victim. You are not here to prove that you are harmless. You are here to show that you are powerful enough to be kind without being crushed. Compassion is only noble when it's chosen freely, not when it's the only tool you have left. So step back. Study the board. Change the narrative. Let your life no longer be a quiet apology. Let it become a quiet revolution. One that begins with the sentence, "I will no longer be used." You will no longer explain your worth. You will no longer justify your boundaries. You will no longer apologize for being deliberate, composed, unreadable. From this point forward, everything you give will be intentional, and everything you withhold will carry meaning. Because now, you understand that unpredictability is not chaos. It is power. The man who cannot be anticipated cannot be controlled. He becomes a force of nature, not a figure of sympathy. He is respected not for what he gives, but for the weight of what he could give, and still chooses not to. People confuse openness with vulnerability, but not all transparency is trust. Sometimes, it is self-exposure dressed as virtue. And the man who exposes too much is the man who is easy to weaken. You can be open, but only with those who have earned it. And earning it means more than a smile. It means demonstrating loyalty, understanding your silence, respecting your time. Until then, the world sees only what you permit it to see. Let's talk about your voice. Not just the one that speaks, but the one that leads. For too long, you've equated being agreeable with being wise. You've believed that avoiding conflict earns peace. But peace earned by self-erasure is not peace. It is quiet suffering. And suffering doesn't make you noble. It makes you forgettable. You cannot be heard if you've trained everyone to ignore you. So if you want to lead, speak less but make it count. Say what others won't. Say it with strength. Say it only once. And then act. Leadership is not granted. It is taken by those who demonstrate control. Not over others, but over themselves. And the man who cannot control himself, his tongue, his habits, his reactions, will never be feared. And the man who is never feared will never be fully respected. You want reverence? Master restraint. Because the world listens more to a whisper from a composed man than a scream from a desperate one. Machiavelli wasn't urging you to dominate. He was urging you to discipline. To craft a presence so deliberate that others question themselves before questioning you. To become so intentional that your silence can shake the ground more than 1,000 declarations. This is the paradox of power. The less you seek it, the more it becomes yours. When you stop chasing validation, people start chasing your attention. When you stop proving yourself, they start wondering who you really are. But to reach this level, you must kill the part of yourself that still hopes the world will treat you fairly. It won't. You must bury the belief that good intentions are always met with good outcomes. They aren't. And you must sever the need to be understood by all. Most people aren't even listening. They're reacting. And the more you explain, the more you arm them to misunderstand you. This doesn't mean isolation. It means insulation. It means your mind becomes your fortress, your character, your defense. And your presence, a currency no one can counterfeit. Because once you learn this, once you build it, you become immune to emotional games. Immune to guilt, to shame, to social manipulation. Because now your compass is internal. You don't bend to noise. You bend to truth. Your truth. You walk differently now. Not out of pride, but out of precision. You know what you allow. You know what you protect. You know when to show your teeth. And when to vanish into silence. And people will notice. They'll feel the shift. Some will fear it. Some will resent it. But the right ones will respect it. And respect, unlike approval, cannot be begged for. It is drawn. It is pulled toward the man who does not need it. Because the man who doesn't need respect to move is the one most likely to receive it without asking. So, the next time someone challenges your boundary, don't explain it. Enforce it. The next time someone presses you for your thoughts, just let the silence do the work. Let them feel the weight of not knowing. That's where your strength lies now. Not in how fast you respond, but in how little you need to. Let your actions whisper. Let your absence remind. Let your decisions speak volumes without needing to be shouted. You've graduated from survival. You've evolved past approval. Now, you operate with clarity, with calculation, with code. Your own code. Written not by the world, but by the man who finally decided to stop being liked and start being dangerous. You're no longer the man who chases peace at the cost of his power. You're the man who understands that peace without leverage is just silence waiting to be broken. And you've been silent long enough. Not the silence of strategy, but the silence of self-abandonment. The kind that says, maybe if I keep giving, they'll finally see me. But here's the truth. They saw you. They just didn't value you. Because you didn't value you. Not anymore. Now, every move you make is weighted. Every word you speak is deliberate. Every absence, every no, every boundary is a reminder that your time, your mind, and your soul are no longer cheap. You've spent years trying to be understood, trying to explain your softness, trying to justify your depth to people who only saw surfaces. But understanding is not owed. And depth is not something you give away for free. If someone wants to know you, let them earn the privilege. Let them walk through the gate of your standards, not crawl under the fence of your loneliness. You no longer tolerate disrespect masked as jokes. You no longer smile through discomfort. You no longer stay silent to keep others comfortable. Because now you see the pattern. Every time you shrink, someone else grows comfortable. And every time they grow comfortable disrespecting you, you train them to believe it's okay. But it's not. Not anymore. From this moment forward, your presence demands respect before it gives warmth. Your kindness comes second to your code. Because now you don't just have standards. You enforce them. This is what it means to embrace the Machiavelli mindset. To stop being a product of your conditioning and start becoming a producer of your outcomes. It means playing the long game, letting others waste their energy on chaos, while you move with precision, letting others talk endlessly to be heard, while you speak rarely and get remembered. Because presence is about weight, not volume. And now your presence carries weight. But because you don't need to be liked. You're not building approval. You're building a legacy. And legacies aren't built by the agreeable. They're built by the unshakable. There will be those who don't understand your change. Those who accuse you of being cold. Those who miss the version of you that said yes to everything, that over-explained, overshared, overgave. Let them miss him. He's gone. You've buried the man who was always available. You've retired the man who was always safe. Because that man, for all his goodness, was never respected. He was useful until he wasn't. Kind until he became predictable. And then discarded, quietly, casually, completely. That won't happen again. Now when you enter a room, you are a question, not an answer. You are a presence, not a pitch. You are an option, not a backup plan. You're not here to be nice. You're here to be remembered. You've seen behind the curtain. You've seen what happens to men who are only good. They get used. They get drained. And they get left. But not you. Not anymore. Because now you know. Goodness without sharpness is bait. Kindness without awareness is a trap. Softness without standards is suicide. And approval? Approval is a prison with golden bars, built from compliments and locked with your own self-doubt. So let the world wonder who you are. Let them speculate. Let them misread you. Let them think you're colder than you are, until they earn the truth. Because power doesn't explain itself. It moves. It acts. And it lets the world catch up, if they can. You are no longer walking into life with your hands open. You're walking in with your head high, your spine straight, your mind focused, no longer desperate to be seen, but unignorable because of how little you reveal. The most dangerous man in any room is not the loudest. It's the one who says the least, but still commands the most attention. The one who has nothing to prove, but everything to protect. That's you now. You are not here to be saved. You are here to be sovereign. You are not here to blend in. You are here to bend the world around the weight of your presence. So from now on, speak less, move less, react less, but mean more. Because the man who is no longer easy to reach is the man they never stop trying to understand. And that mystery, that unreadability, is your power now. Let them talk. Let them guess. Let them test. You owe no explanations. Because your strength is no longer something you perform. It's something you carry. Now that you know, you can no longer unsee the truth. You were not born to be tolerated. You were not born to be understood by the masses. You were born to rise in silence, to lead without asking, to influence without begging, to win without warning. The old you was easier to like. This version of you will be harder to forget. And that's the goal. Because men who are liked are replaced. Men who are respected are remembered. This isn't about becoming ruthless. It's about becoming whole. Because somewhere along the way, you let go of your edge to make others feel safe. You traded your fire for friendliness. And you called it maturity. But Machiavelli would remind you, it's not mature to disarm yourself. In a world that punishes naivety, you thought playing small was noble. But smallness never protects. It only guarantees you'll be overlooked. And overlooked men don't get opportunities. They get used. So let this be the day. You stop asking for permission. Let this be the moment. You start mastering silence. Mastering timing. Mastering yourself. No more explaining. No more defending. No more waiting to be chosen. You are not an option. You are the standard. And if someone doesn't see it, they never deserved access in the first place. This world is not going to reward your kindness. Until your kindness wears armor. It won't applaud your values. Until those values come with consequences. You are not a pacifist. You are not a servant. You are not harmless. You are strategic. You are composed. You are powerful. So ask yourself right now, what version of yourself dies today? What part of your identity no longer serves you? What behavior ends here, right now? Is it the over-explaining? Is it the always available energy? Is it the approval seeking in every interaction? Is it the constant forgiveness of people who only see your forgiveness as a green light to keep disrespecting you? Kill that version. Bury it. Then rise. Because now you don't just understand the game. You know how to bend it in your favor. And you won't do it loudly. You'll do it strategically. You'll move in silence, with clarity, with force, with elegance. You will become the kind of man whose absence carries weight, whose boundaries are final, whose presence is felt before he ever says a word. So tell me, which principle will you apply first? Which version of you ends today? Which boundary gets enforced without apology? Comment below. I'm reading every word, because this isn't just a monologue. This is a movement. And if this message cut deep, if something inside you shifted, like the snapping of a chain, then don't just scroll past. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Not because I asked, but because men like us move differently now. And this is where that movement begins.